Yakuza 0 is a pretty fun game. Is this how you start these videos? I'm gonna take out an important part of the game, and many more parts, so that I suffer. Yay. I mean, the first rule is pretty obvious. I can't use any abilities. I can't use money to get them. No master abilities. I mean, it's in the name. I did add a few side rules that I didn't always follow, just for the funny, I guess. Number 1, I played on Legend difficulty mode. Number 2, I couldn't use any healing items. I'll explain in a little bit how I changed that a little bit. But number 3, no armor. I also did not end up using this eventually. And number 4, no equipable weapons. I mean, I did decide to get the legend styles for both of the characters because of their overpowered, I mean, very balanced counters. You totally cannot spam the game through with them. I mean, Yakuza 0 is a very easy game, but this ensures I made myself go through maximum suffering because I hate myself, but not enough to ever do this again, hopefully. Since this is a full game run, there are spoilers for the entire game. I mean, I'm not really going to explain much about it, but on to Chapter 1. So in Chapter 1, our main protagonist, Kiryu Kazuma, kills a guy. Then we get paid with money I'll probably never use, hear the opening song, which is very good, and meet up with Nishiki, aka Best Boy. Not before beating up some random guys, of course. Since this is a tutorial before upgrades, it doesn't really matter, and I definitely did not get to have health on the first battle because I suck. But here's Nishiki, and then we get the ability tutorial, which you can thankfully just ignore. Afterwards, the real Yakuza 0 gameplay ensues, and we play karaoke to celebrate Kiryu killing a guy. The actual plot happens where we meet the dude we fight 5 times, the dude we don't even fight as Kiryu, and an imposter. Then we get the second most fun style in the game, but it's kinda bad for this run. Since we're still early, this random fight in Toko credit is still easy enough. We then don't fight Kutze, because it has to be dramatic for the next big fight in the game. Kiryu dramatically leaves the Yakuza, because having the English name for this series make any amount of sense would be foolish. Now we get to the part where I said I changed the healing rule. Now between enemy waves, quote unquote, I allow myself to heal, as otherwise this would be even more annoying. Somehow, I made it all the way to Yakuza before I had my first death because this boss is hard. I mean, I'm not really surprised with how long it is. The game loves long encounters before a boss fight. Without heals and on Legend mode, you kinda just have to repeat sections of the game. I mean, Legend is pretty cool. It has things like better AI, less QTE time, and more damage to you. But the only one thing that pisses me off is no retries. It makes no sense for a mode that should push you to your limits as a player to make you redo easy parts of the game. It adds almost nothing to challenge you in boss fights. But that's enough of that rant. Let's talk about Kuze and how bosses work in this game. Kuze is a pretty good introductory boss for Kiryu, despite definitely being easier than Majima's first bosses, because of the health sizes. He's one of the few bosses that you can actually use Rush against because he's stunned properly by it. His attacks are pretty slow, but still easy enough to get hit by. His first phase, like all other bosses in this game, is actually very easy. It's the second phase that's the trouble spot. Second phases in Yakuza 0 are very dangerous for a variety of reasons. Firstly, they get tons of super armor on all of their attacks, although Kuze 1 doesn't get much in comparison. They also usually can't get knocked down by most attacks, Kiryu is very dangerous at no heat due to how slow Brawler and especially Rush are, but due to other attributes it's actually fine for Kuze. Perseverance alone can easily win this fight, so it doesn't matter. Kuze loses his Fingi, and Kiryu is officially expelled from the Dojima family. Although this doesn't change much for his situation, so he gets all depressed. We meet Stranger Danger, and then that's the end of Chapter 1. After some cutscenes, we meet Mr. Shakedown, who kills me in one hit. I will then proceed to not fight him again because I don't need money and I have no way to properly fight him. This chapter is mostly just about exploring for information on Tachibana real estate and not much fighting. I also find it funny that a sub-story I started, I would finish almost 50 hours later. Another thing of note is the usage of CP, or as I like to call it, Overused Joke 52, which helps us mostly run around faster and that's it. Even though I can't get any of the Master's abilities, they'll still act like I can, until I show them my lack of abilities, I guess. I mostly get around the lack of battles this chapter by beating up random enemies, as they have started showing up frequently. We also get Mr. Beast! Which is an amazing style that Kiryu really needs for his damage output. Because I have future hindsight, I can tell you once again that I'm an idiot. For this entire challenge, I didn't know that you could use heavy attacks with objects. For bikes and many other large objects, it does an absolutely ridiculous amount of damage. Unfortunately, there are many other problems with Beast, such as the guard not completely blocking damage. This means for this challenge, Beast is a very risky option, and its dodge isn't very good either.
10 years in the joint made you a fucking pussy!
There are some random fights in this chapter, but like this one, they last around 2 nanoseconds thanks to Beast's AoE power. Same with this fight before Oda's boss. Oh shit, wait, what? I died here? That's actually really funny. Guess weapons can just do that to you. I got them next try, so it's fine. Oda's boss fight was a gigantic mess on my part. That heavy attack with objects thing would have made this fight an absolute joke. But no, instead I died here. Besides having a weapon and another dangerous second phase, Oda isn't really all too special though. I was smart though and stopped using Beast so much because this challenge makes it extremely risky against bosses. Good fight, but no redoers, so they clearly didn't put too much effort into it. The story doesn't do much else, and that's all for Chapter 2 of Kiryu. We get the best opening to a new protagonist ever, Majima. His story and gameplay are very different from Kiryu, but still a very welcome change of pace, and adds very much to Yakuza 0 as a whole. After his tutorial battle, we get almost 30 minutes of cutscenes before getting the real tutorial with Komaki. Sorry, I mean Komeki. Most of this chapter is just cutscenes again. Imagine getting an intro like this for more than 2 characters. Like, imagine how awful that would be. Slugger. Yeah, it's a style. Rather underrated, but kinda in this challenge. Some more goons that go down quick, because Majima's the GOAT. Oh wait, that's it. What a chapter. This chapter is also mostly pointless walking around for cutscenes until near the end when things actually happen. Oh my goodness, it's the absolute best game in the series flashback, and after some ambience, we get the best Majima style in Breaker. Now obviously, you could play the game like a coward and use all of the styles of Majima. Don't know why I did that mostly. Or you could simply spam Breaker because I don't like playing my video games. And now, holy shit, Massive Man boss fight, let's go! Seriously though, this first fight of Lee is just comical in how easy it is with Breaker. One combo does half his health. I try to use the other styles in his second phase before I cave and just spam breaker on him and get him first try. I'll have way more to talk about for his next fight, by the way, don't worry. Let's go, Makoto escort section, so fun. I die instantly and have to redo 2 fights. I then beat Lee in literally less than a minute, and I'm sure repeating fights like this will never become a common occurrence. Beat it next time with just the usual amount of breaker spam, nothing too special. Oh, and story moment, Majima kills woman, Man, I love when Kiryu and Nishiki just have random conversations, even if this one is interrupted by a random fight. More Yakuza funny moments. Kiryu What the? Kiryu looks pretty cute in those glasses, not gonna lie. I actually can't believe I just said that. Another random fight, more ambience. Oda gets a little bruising, and now an actual fight. Now I'm dead. Then I beat him, but this time with no audio. Thanks, OBS. He just uses a generic fight style and generic theme, so I don't even really consider him a boss for this. More meandering. And now a true showcase of this challenge is bullshit. I mean, fun in having to redo things over and over and over again. Beast honestly makes this group fight a breeze before Kuze with a metal pipe. Unfortunately, this is legend mode, so I wasted around an hour and a half just doing the same fight over 5 times. Some of these guys are annoying, and maybe could be a challenge, but because of my healing rule and the usual lack of challenge in group fights, without weapons, they don't stand much of a chance. Kuze 2 was an easy boss that seemed hard to me just because I don't know how to loop him. A speedrun loop with Beast is very much possible without abilities, I just didn't know how to do it. Makes it more entertaining to laugh at myself though. Ignoring that, due to his metal pipe, Kuze is pretty tough. It's basically a different boss than his fist fights. Weapons are very annoying to fight against, and his guard is unable to be broken in the traditional way. However, his AI will stop guarding if you keep comboing anyways. Without loops or weapons, Beast is not good on bosses, so don't bother. I definitely tried to keep my heat gauge up so that Kiryu remained as fast as he could be. Ground throws with Beast are also very good. Not much else to say. Besides, my strategy for this was mostly throwing my head against a brick wall for hours. I didn't expect a strategy like that could work for so long, but it did eventually stop working. I actually forgot that on my successful attempt I made a loop of my own with Brawler, which is pretty cool. He didn't even enter his second phase until he was already dead. Rush can be useful, but only if you know how to dodge the pipe, which I clearly did not. Overall, great fight. I don't really want to talk much more about the story in this video, but this is the Chapter 6 ending. Best moment of the game right here. Majima locks up Makoto in a shed for very good reasons. Chinese men fight, woohoo! Usual things in between battles, including the Cabaret Club introduction. I don't know what was up with that fight near the end, but I did almost no damage to any of them. Then I died because the gun does half of my health bar. And again, because it's still hard. After me and Massive Man, I mean the drugs Makoto, we fight next to her. We get another good showcase of Yakuza 0 boss funny moments with this guy. His first phase is ridiculously easy and his second phase is horrible. He gets stunned by everything in his first phase, so I'm not even going to talk about it. Don't even bother with anything that isn't thug-like combos. He will just get super armor and demolish you. He also will not be knocked down by anything that isn't a heat action in his second phase. The first few attempts I was mostly just trying everything to see what works. This fight isn't usually noticeable because the second phase only has one health bar, and you can just muscle your way through. Unfortunately, I can't. My lack of damage and health hurts badly at this point. Trying to do as much damage as possible before the QT in the second phase is pretty important. But if you don't have much health and you trigger it too early, you're pretty much done for. It's honestly not too bad once you figure out what to do, but otherwise the trial and error was very annoying. I would enjoy it a lot more if I could just instantly retry, but Legend mode is very balanced. After many deaths, exactly
10
deaths was all I needed to make me a
fucking pussy!
Quite literally. My strategy was just spam heat actions when I could, and otherwise just attack with light thug combos. If I could hit his back, it was even better as he couldn't guard and break out. Thug's evasiveness and quick actions were proving the only style worth using on hard bosses. The amount of attempts were annoying, but the cutscene before it isn't too long. Retries only took a few minutes, unlike Yakuza with a pipe who could take up to 20 minutes. I'm sure Majuma's bosses being extremely fun on Legend will not bring me down in the future. Majima says no to drugging women and walks out on leave. Majima litters, which brings a man in a red suit to help clean up after him. How nice. Not much happens before another boss fight happens. Only a few minutes after the chapter starts too. Not that I'm complaining. Yakuza 0 has great boss spacing, in my opinion. We have another boss fight using Misery Comes on Heat. Genuinely an amazing song. Like Lee, there aren't too many cutscenes before, so it's actually really fun to retry. Lee technically has a knife, but he only uses it for one attack. Once I get the rhythm down, this fight was extremely fun. Looping his first phase because of Breaker and Thug, sick ass QT, then harder second phase. Breaker whirlwinding was actually useful because of how dodge happy he seems to be when doing it. All of the styles were actually pretty useful. You can just cheese him with Thug shaking, whittling him down with Thug combos. However, switching between styles and being aggressive was a fairly good strategy. Not a hard fight, just had to retry 9 times. Didn't even feel it. Okay, recording after basically all of this is done, but I noticed something really dumb with all of the knife bosses. Don't feel like combing through all of the footage for this, but for some reason, randomly, knives can just hit multiple times when I don't think it's supposed to. Really strange. This game series is not a stranger to frame rate issues, so maybe it's that. Only reason I even noticed was going frame by frame on these deaths, which I just find really funny. Back to what I recorded before. Unfortunately, our operation with Makoto getting drugged and hidden in a warehouse was sold out. So now we have to fight some generic enemies with weapons. Breaker and Thug annihilated them, and now we have Makoto Escort Part 2. I died twice because the enemies do damage against Makoto, and you can't recover her health. But after that, we're just a nice drive away. Yeah, I think Massive Man will be fine. Some characters have survived much worse in this series. We also see a glimpse of my impending doom. After Kiryu does a good thing and gets punished for it, we have a group fight that I died to because enemies have weapons now. And then, oh wait, immediate boss fight. Yeah, it's pretty obvious the difference between Kiryu and Majima bosses. Kiryu gets one after like 3 encounters with unskippable cutscene, while Majima gets the free ones without any of that. I won't lie, this made me rage a lot. I don't actually remember being mad, but I can see how short the recordings are, and when this happens, I know I would get mad. This should theoretically be Kuze's hardest fight just due to the amount of things in it. I mean, he has knuckle weapons and a group of enemies with him. It's even worse due to the enemies with weapon counters before it. The best strategy is to thin the enemies out with weapons and hope you knock Kuze down with them so he doesn't interrupt you. Once the enemies are gone, he's actually very easy with how many bicycles there are around. Also would have been way easier with heavy attacks with the bicycles. On my successful attempt, you can actually see that the QT came up and I guessed correctly because I was spamming the light attack button. I actually really hate this QT because it comes out of nowhere, but hey, free damage, I ain't complaining. Even with no upgrades, all the objects do good enough damage on Kuze. I don't even think I came out of Beast in the entire fight because there kind of wasn't any reason to. Not related directly to the boss, but I noticed I had an 11-day break between sessions because of this fight. My first attempt after coming back though, that was my winning attempt. Only 2 deaths on the boss, and the other 2 were from weapon guys. Yay! Another instance of OBS not working and me losing footage. I mean, all I lost was some meandering and maybe me failing the long battle once or twice. I haven't counted it towards the death counter, so if you care, just pretend there's 1 or 2 more. I definitely remember failing them, but according to my footage, there is no such proof. Most of the standard goons can be defeated with the usual strategies of comboing them until they are dead. Use weapons too, as the lanterns are good. Most of the trouble comes from the sword dude, as he is quite annoying. The first time, just spam weapons on him, and you'll be fine. For the big last fight, you want to make sure not to use any of the weapons, as you'll want them for when the sword guy appears again. Then make sure you just spam weapon attacks at him, and hopefully he won't slice you too badly. I'm mostly impressed at just how little health I had when I finished. I mean, look at that nice pixel of health left. The entire rest of the chapter is cutscenes, and that's it. Apologies for how short this section is, I blame OBS and my computer. The blame is never ever on me. After Majima gets a beating for being a bad little boy, we have a small fight with nobodies. Then we have Coliseum fights. These 3 fights are actually very easy, if annoying since they're in a row. After a weird death to the second guy and a death to the third, I get the last one. Are you kidding me? Pictured here, why this challenge is so fun. Wow, that was so fun. This challenge is the most fun thing I have done in this game. I am so glad I did this. We then break into prison. We couldn't get enough of Nishitani before, and we're dying to have more interactions. Sorry. This is probably the fight I'm most proud of, to be honest. Somehow, I beat him first try. Almost even no damaged him. He's honestly really easy if you just spam Breaker for his first phase as usual. He has more QTEs, which actually just makes him way easier. And in general, I just know mostly what to do in these boss fights. Playing his first boss 10 times probably helps too. No death showcase for obvious reasons. Nishitani, no! Oh hey, time for hell. This chapter is actually quite simple. But not really. I'll explain. There's one long battle, and then a boss. Theoretically easy. In reality though, this was almost my breaking point. The long battle is like most others in this challenge. Very easy, but also very fun. Most group fights in this game just make you feel like an unkillable god and not actually challenged. Something I learned quickly is you can get easy kills with a grab near a water area and then heat action. It instantly kills any enemy. Even this mini boss that I accidentally killed first try with this method. The health of enemies are so inflated at this point compared to my damage that it takes minutes to kill them otherwise. These big guys are very annoying for this reason, but eventually I just learned to breaker spam them. The mini-boss at the end is also pretty annoying, but even on my first attempt I managed to get him. Not bad. Moving on to the boss. Oh boy. This is gonna be a long talk about this boss. First attempt, he destroyed me. Just look at this. I felt like I got a good start, but actually I did barely any damage at all. His little sidekick thing completely destroys any chance of continuing our combo. And he can do it in the middle of yours. After that, I got insane flashbacks to his Ultimate Battle 2 version. You have fully upgraded Majima for that, but he still owned me several times before I looked it up to see if I was even doing it right. Nope, he's just an insanely annoying boss. Keep in mind, it takes 20 minutes every single time I have to retry this dude. I straight up didn't even get to his second phase. Maybe I can just bash my head until I figure out a strategy? I love wasting time, so why not? Attempt 2. Started with a nice grab heat action to get some damage. Barely any damage though. The funny thing about Thug is even though it seemingly gets no different at heat, first heat still seems too slow to even full combo him. He'll just break out at the finisher if he wants to. Honestly, first phase isn't too bad, you just have to be like really careful. Okay, second phase, oh oops, failed the QT, instantly die. Attempt 3, did half my health because he stunned me like 4 times. Only barely got his second health bar before dying. Attempt 4, him guarding is very dangerous, stunned me again, basically lost instantly. I realize now a lot of my problems come from me buffering my combos out from like the first hit. I don't even know why you can do this, but you can and it's really stupid. Even if I realize he's guarding, my attack still comes out anyways. Or I'm just delusional and there is no buffer system, I don't really know. I know now to avoid it, but not at this point. Especially after playing Yakuza 6. Attempt 5. I actually managed to get to phase 2, except he still has a health bar and a half. This pink aura is really intimidating to me now. Yeah, that damage though? That's really cool. I did a quarter of a health bar in a second phase. I had almost all of my health going into it. Not fun. Attempt 6. Oh, he can do that combo that did half my health in phase 1 too. Rip me. Attempt 7. Test for his second phase. Used healing items, but honestly it didn't help, like at all. He has a command grab. It just does too much damage and isn't ever vulnerable enough. After that attempt, I gave up on not using legend styles. I didn't ever say anything in the rules and that was intentional. To be honest, I thought getting them would be harder than any fight in the game and wouldn't be worth it, but now I had basically no option. So now it's time for the Cabaret Club. I will be skipping anything unchanged by challenge rules, so basically only talking about the fights. But just so you know, this was long and annoying. The method I used on my main save file was pacing it out through the game, but for this, I just had to rush it. The only saving grace was getting all the chapter bonus money, just buying every partner, or later on for Kiryu the businesses. First fight is just grunts that are much weaker than the enemies at this point in the story, so whatever. It feels weird skipping so much footage because this is like actual hours before the next fight. More goons. Next enemy is the second area main guy. Kizuka gets stunned and has a generic moveset where you can just spam block and take no damage. It took a while, but I did it without taking too much damage. Even with stamming through all the dialogue, this is a long side quest. Next guy, I really did not want to lose these fights because it would mean having to do a Cabaret event to do it again. Fun fact, Kanehara actually has more health than Sarah, but I still seemingly do way more damage to him. But he still wasn't too terrible with some finesse. During this, I checked out the Mad Dog abilities on my maxed save to see how they would work for this challenge. If I got the Legend styles, they would easily be the best, as they are made to be good even without getting abilities. Their stat bonuses give buffs to every style, so their baseline is much greater than the others. Along with this, they both have broken counters and many other useful abilities. I'll talk more about them individually later, but for now just know they're a surefire way to make the rest of the game at least possible. Tsukiyama is just a generic boss. Really do not know why they gave him Misery Comes on Feet. Can't really go into why without spoiling Yakuza 0, 1, and 3, but just know there's a pattern with the story bosses that have it. Similar to the other two, just longer. Kinda annoying, but whatever. Beat him first try. Then he gets shot. Oh well, he's fine. Now for the real challenge of this. Oh man, I remember there being a difficulty spike in the last part, but geez. This is just ridiculous. They can't be breaker abused most of the time, as you will always be punished getting out of it. They actually don't deal a ton of damage, but it's enough to stack, especially when they king up. There just isn't a strategy to deal with them all at once. One of them will always get you. Honestly, I don't want to talk about this anymore. I spent 2.5 hours just slamming my head against a wall. 20 deaths. 20. So I removed a rule that I had for every part before this. No equipment. I decided armor was fair game. Even the accessories that revived you. Honestly, I didn't need it though. This armor even removed me getting stunned. How nice. One attempt, and I did it. I'm getting tired just thinking about doing this again, but I did it. I felt so much power coursing into me after that fight. It felt so good. Mad Dog was so worth it. The style has a few things to note. It has several characteristics of other styles. Quick-step power of Thug, sluggers blocking with weapons, and a cool factor of Breaker. Its combo uses a knife, which is very useful as well. It's a knife. Its dash from quick-step, or as a finisher to combo, moves around a lot, and does good damage too, although it does use heat when used more than once at a time. The last and honestly only real important part is its counter. Now remember, I am stupid. This counter is overpowered, and I did not use it correctly the entire playthrough. Some of the descriptions in this game are very confusing. It uses heat when you have any amount, but if you have 0 heat, the game doesn't prevent you from using it. So I mean, you can just spam it. So often I would get some attacks in before doing it again. Don't do that. It's still invaluable due to the damage and will make Majima's parts relatively easy. On my first attempt, I already do much more damage with one single counter. I mean, look at that damage. Never thought I would do almost an entire bar of health in one attack in this challenge. Unfortunately, I died this attempt because I didn't spam the counter alone enough. Next time, I got him though. And that's one annoying part of the game down, finally. Waited like half an hour for a stupid call for the story. Then, fun car chase. Yay! I died first try because it's legend mode, but never died again, so not gonna mention it. Then some more actually hard group fights. The first part of this is annoying, as Makoto is sitting in a corner, begging people to abduct her. I really don't know why I'm doing this. There are several weapons in the area you should use. It caused me to die. Oh well. Keep in mind, every time I die here, I have to redo the car chase. How thrilling. Another death because Kiryu's arms are too short. Oh hey, a chainsaw guy. At least after this, Makoto can't be damaged, so it's just up to Kiryu to get him. He's annoying because he can block the numerous objects around with his chainsaw. And I died to the next part where it's him and a bunch of goons. I do it the next attempt by using all the objects. Cool chapter. I go a while without saving and die to the Nishiki duo fight, so I decided to just get Kira's legend style. Once again, due to my vast amount of money that I can't use otherwise, it's slightly faster than the usual run of this game, but it's still so boring. Kiryu's is much less engaging because you have to wait so long just to progress, especially in the later parts. I have so much time to kill I literally get CP by doing karaoke and other usual Yakuza things. I also got the same equipment that I got as Majima. Honestly, I don't really know how important armor is in this game. I'll basically just describe the enemies again. Leisure King died once, then bullied him. Electronics King, I hate this stupid kid. Died once, and then I gave up on no weapons for the real estate fights. You might say, wow, he wasn't even that hard, but honestly, I think it's warranted for the upcoming fights. Pleasure King, easy, beat first try. Gambling King, I actually lost all of my footage of the Gambling King because I still didn't understand how to properly record things on my Steam Deck, which broke the next day, by the way. But I'm pretty sure I died twice in some of the worst ways ever in my Yakuza playthroughs, and I wish I could show them. They were a key example of how enemies can just all attack you at once on harder difficulties. Oh well, I just spammed weapons again. Media King. This fight is so annoying. I didn't even play Yakuza 4 at the time, but looking at the footage makes it look like it, with how much the Media King just grabs you. These enemies have insane health and damage for how under-equipped I am. Even with just the Media King alive, I'm not even close to being fast enough to take him on fairly. I would like to say I tried, like with Majima's last Cabaret glove fight, but honestly, I didn't. I gave up. I honestly just wanted to play the real game because the fights are actually designed well. Died 3 times, and I just shot him. Finance King Lackeys. I was not expecting a fight right after. I did it first attempt, but that's only because I let the Media King take him on. I just ran around for, no joke, nearly 10 minutes until they were both basically dead. Finance King Lackeys Part 2. No. Just no. 1 death. Pretty good at realizing that, yeah, no, this isn't a good idea. I just stabbed them. These fights scale way too hard for Kiryu without abilities and no weapons, sorry. The funny thing is that once it's just one dude, this fight is actually pretty easy. It's just when there's 2 of them with 2 health bars each, it's just not going to happen. I get if some of you are disappointed I did this, but I really do feel like this just isn't a fair challenge. And at this point, I just don't feel like playing that. I did this challenge because I wanted a fun way to revisit this excellent game. I think I just went way too overboard with what I thought I could handle. Genuinely, I do kind of regret doing that, but like at this point, it's like 3 months back. I can't really change it at this point, so I'm just gonna keep it the way it is for now. Finance King. This fight is actually really easy. I just used a few heals and it was done. With enough tries, I could have easily beaten it. I just didn't want to. And now we have the Dragon of Dojima style. Finally, I can play the game again. It felt so good being able to do some damage and not die instantly in this game again. Kira gets shot, and now Nishiki duo fight again, but this time a legend. I suppose I should mention things about this style, but honestly, just twist counter. Just spam it. Kinda it. Gives heat. Easy to trigger. Yeah. I died 2 times, but Draken is kind of weird at 0 heat to use the actual combos. It's very slow like Rush. Now Kuze. Kuze is very fun to fight with a counter. Not too used to it, so I die, but still a good fight. Nishiki assists you, and because of the counter, it's not too difficult. Back to Majima. It's super fun, nearly no damaging random encounters in the story. Majima gets a small beating in a cutscene, and then we have the Kashiwagi boss fight. I feel this fight would have gone similar to Sarah if I didn't have his legend style. His moves are fairly fast and do a lot of damage. Even his second phase is hard. It wasn't terrible due to the style though. You can't forget his QTE too. On legend difficulty, its timing is around 1/5 of a second, which is just ridiculous. I died to it the first and second try, which has a very funny animation. Somehow I managed to hit the QTE 3 consecutive times after that. Otherwise, simple determination with the counter will get you through it. Nishiki time. I really love this fight in relation to the series as a whole. However, he's really easy. Beat him on the first try. His attacks are slow and don't deal a ton of damage. He's also very easy to stun. Just do heat actions and you'll beat him easily. You even get a free heal at the end of the battle. Oh well. This chapter is amazing. Not for the challenge, just the overall game. The first part is very chill, with just walking around and having the story with Makoto. But then... I mean, it's a group fight with normal enemies. Really easy. Cutscene. Kuze. After the Kuze fight, there's nothing left to do besides the final part of the game. This is the longest and most grueling part of the game in a row. many group fights, and 3 bosses all in a row. The first part is really annoying with the guns and explosives, but you can actually just skip it if you kill the dude at the stairs and run past. Then we get a part where you can just spam attacks and guns. Now when big boy, there's many objects and you can counter him. Not too bad. Almost got through the next part with no health, but died. The last challenge is 3 big guys, but due to objects and beast heat actions, you can do it pretty easily. There's also a few gun guys to just be aware of after, and that's it for this section. This fight really makes you feel like the mad dog of Shimano. Having said style makes this feel amazing. This part is much easier than Kiryu's, so I'm just gonna take a little voice break. Awano. It's actually pretty hilarious to fight this guy with a knife. No fair fighting for you. I do so well my first attempt, but unfortunately he combos me and then I die. Now I have to do the entire previous section again. I really don't want to mention it anymore, but yes, redoing this is annoying, considering how many times I end up dying. I still had some fun during the sections every time though. I get Awano next try. Just bait him into counters and do some dashes and pretty easy. I won't lie, this fight is horrible. I have no idea how to counter 90% of his attacks. He's a boss with weapons that actually uses them well. Even with Mad Dog's speed, I still feel too slow. Sometimes I do pretty good, but I still end up fumbling. So I do something a bit sneaky to try and practice. I switch to hard mode. My successful attempt of all of this was on legend mode. I just wanted to stop needing to retry parts I already did so many times. If you're wondering, all I did was edit the save file itself since you can't change off of legend mode normally. I don't know why, but the retry state for Laogui does feel easier than normal. Didn't end up mattering, but it's still weird. I managed to get him on my final real retry. I realized how useful retrying can be also. I know exactly what I can improve and don't have to waste real life time. By practicing, I did cool things like no damaging a Wano and doing really good on the fight before. I learned a few things by practicing like this, but I still couldn't beat Laogui without retrying almost every time, but I always just needed one. I also did learn how to fight him more effectively with counters and evasion. I learned fairly quickly that this was not going to be very hard. I just didn't need to fumble. The hardest phase is easily the first one. The other two are pretty easy telegraphs to counter, especially Beast. But Shibasawa's rush uses a lot of kicks and punches woven in. Since the circle twist is a parry counter, it can't be used against kicks. Most annoying part was accidentally grabbing him due to the input for twist counter. It's a very good fight, but I don't have much to say about it right now. Back to legend difficulty. Embarrassingly, my first attempt back on legend ends up dying to a Wano. Hey, it happens sometimes. There are definitely more differences with hard compared to legend, but they aren't really that notable for the most part. Every attempt from now on will end in Laogui. First try of him, and I fail the QT. Majima just gets shot. Oops. The next attempt, this one attack does half of my health bar. Youch. I do manage to get to his last phase, but I mess up countering him and die. His sword and gun phase is extremely dangerous. His attacks are fast and do a ton of damage. Along with him having super armor, cause why not? I have literally no idea why I thought it'd be a good idea to use a couch, but I'm dead now, so get pretty far, die to sword and gun, cause jeez, this is annoying. Every attempt I'm figuring out more ways to counter him in his weapon phases. And by that, I mean I spam the input until I just so happen to do it. Also, saving the heat action damage for a sword and gun phase is very useful. I feel I get very close every time, but I'm just a bit away. After that, I do some more preparing. I decide using the sacrifice stone accessory is fine, just to get a bit more health I so desperately need. And so begins my last attempt. After that fight, Shibusawa made me nervous. If I died here, that attempt wouldn't have mattered. But I did it. I really did it. After 110 deaths, and retrying sections I've completed who knows how many times already, I did it. Honestly, this was a ton of fun. I have a lot of great memories from this challenge. Obviously, sometimes I felt not great. I feel like I could have done away with some of the side challenges, or just not done it on legend mode. I plan on eventually making a video why I really don't like the difficulty mode in the Yakuza games that feature this no retry mechanic. I mean, on normal playthroughs it's not bad, but without other items and other challenges, it's not very fun. Retrying bosses is fun, but replaying parts I've already done and rewatching cutscenes isn't. If I ever do another challenge on this series, I'm definitely just going to play hard mode. At some points I did not feel mentally sane doing this challenge because of just how annoying it was. But honestly, if you want to change a pace, a challenge like this is pretty fun. Just don't be like me and please use all of the game mechanics to your advantage. I would definitely be up for doing more challenges like this in the future. I mean, if you've gotten this far, you probably have at least looked at my YouTube videos. This is indeed my first heavily edited, scripted, and voiced video on this channel. Honestly, making videos before I didn't really feel satisfied with them, because I knew I would never care to watch them myself. But something like this is what I would actually watch, even with how long this video is. I want to make things I can actually feel proud of. I feel like this is a nice step towards that. Speaking of, wow, I took on a Herculean task with this video. The script is literally almost 8,000 words long. Like, jeez. But I did want to go in as in-depth as I could on parts I care about. If you don't like the length, how are you even listening to this right now? But seriously, I really want to thank my good friend for working on this project with me. He's definitely encouraged me to continue working on this and even helped checked over my hasty script. He also is going to see this part. I also want to thank you guys, of course. Whoever made it this far to a small YouTuber like me, I thank you sincerely. I made this video as mostly a passion project for myself, but of course, videos like this are made for other people too. I hope you got some amount of enjoyment out of this, and I hope you stick around for whatever the future may entail for me. Oh, and subscribe and like or whatever. Don't know how else to end this, so I hope you will or already had a good day. Hope you enjoyed the Western end credits, and goodbye.